that's good on the audio level. So your homework is to get mastered. Obviously, that would be priority on getting mastered in math, but second priority, getting mastered in any other classes. So there's going to be a separate progressing to mastery assignment that I will have printed out for you tomorrow. This is a quarter 3 grade. So this is low priority compared to your quarter 2 work that needs done and needs mastered. So everybody needs out a separate sheet of paper because we're going to write down this work as we go, and a calculator if you want to practice doing these calculations on your own, and a pencil and maybe a highlighter or two if you want to highlight important parts as we go through the test. Those of you who did not get to take the test, I expect you will be writing down the work with us as we go, or any questions that people did not answer, because you will be able to use this as a reference when you take the Progressing to Mastery, which will have questions extremely, extremely similar. So if you write down the work today, that's a really good reference when you go to do the Progressing to Mastery. So we're just going to go through this like the other tests when we go and take questions. So we're just going to go in order. So anyone need 1, 2, or 3?
Yes.
Okay. So Franny's raising money for charity. She has so far, out of her goal of 1,000, what is going on? Smart Ink is on. What is happening? Why are you being weird? Okay. Okay, that was weird for a moment. You have?
I have a basketball game today, my first one.
Nice. Does that relate to math?
No.
So should you bring it up after we've already started talking?
No.
No. So that would have been a great before class or after class thing. So if Franny has only raised $5 out of a total 1,000 that she wants to raise, then we just set up our percent equals part divided by whole formula. And that would be $5 out of 1,000, which is actually going to end up giving you 0.005 or 0.5%. So she's raised half of a percent. So not very much of her goal. Question 2. Layla has read 203 pages out of her 250-page book. How would this ratio be expressed as a decimal and in percent form? So look, decimal and percent form. All you have to do is write out the work and show both. So we would say she's read 203 out of 250. That then gives us, I believe it's like 0.014. I forget what's after that, if anything. And then that comes out to be 1.4% if I'm remembering my answers correctly. Is that right? Grab my answer key just to make it
No.
easier.
No. Isn't it 203 divided by 250? It's 0.8112.
Oh yeah, sorry. That one's the next question. So this one, yeah, sorry, I'm thinking the next question. Of course that math doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's 0.812.
Yeah.
Which then becomes 81.2%. Questions on 1 or 2? We're just doing part divided by whole, practicing showing it as a decimal and as a percent.
3.
Number 3.
Yes.
Emmanuel and Brennan are very bored one day. They decide to count the entire bag of Skittles. They count 1,350 Skittles in the bag. Now Brennan decides to eat 19 of them. What percent of the Skittles has Brennan consumed? Round to the hundredths place. Whenever I say round, that means at the end. Some of you rounded before you converted to a percent, which is not helpful. You want to round after you make it a percent. So we do again our part divided by our whole, but now my part is how many Brennan has eaten. My whole is the entire bag. That becomes 0.0141, which as a percent would be approximately 1.4. You what? Sorry, I didn't know if you had a question. Ethan tells us he's earned 48% of his 21 Eagle required merit badges. Now, somebody brought this up, and I might as well just say. So, Boy Scouts, you have to earn 21 merit badges to get Eagle, but there are only 13 required badges.
Is this true?
This is like, I'm an Eagle Scout. I know these things. I love it. It made me who I am. And we have a lot of scouts in Phoenix. I mean, they don't like wear their uniform to school, but you know, actually sometimes we do. Occasionally, we did a twin day with like a couple years ago. But so when we say round to the nearest whole number, some of you decided that apparently that would just mean round up. No. When we calculate this, we're looking for the part, and we have the percent and the whole, because he needs 21 total. So we set up 0.48 times 21. That gives me 10.08. 8 hundredths is very far away from the next whole. So this rounds down to 10.
Even if you didn't say round to the nearest whole, because
Then, I mean, you could just write 10.08, but that doesn't make any sense. To say Ethan has 10.08 merit badges, or 10 and 8 hundredths of a merit badge, like that doesn't, he'd either have 10 or he'd have 11.
No, I mean like instead of saying round to, like you didn't even have to see that. You could have just seen since a 10, 5
Yeah.
more round up.
Right,
0.
and we have a 0, so of course it's gonna stay the 10. 5? Yeah. Cassidy, now, on 5, I accepted 2 different answers, so I'm going to show you both ways that I would have accepted. So, the first way, the way that I was actually looking for, is saying the new price of the cupcake is what percent of the cost, or of the original. They figured out that their cost per cupcake was 30 cents, and they're selling them for $1.50. Kind of high, but you know, people will pay it. So here we're looking for a percent. So it's just part divided by whole, but what threw some of you off is the part is the bigger value. Some of you are still stuck on you have to divide small divided by big. That's not true. Division can go either way. So here, what I was actually looking for is the new price divided by the cost, and that gives us 5. How does 5 become a percent?
0.5.
You're going the wrong direction.
0.5.
When we go from a decimal value to a percent, we go to the right 2 places. So that actually becomes 500%. So their price that they are charging is 500% of the cost. Now, the other way that you could have solved this, that I also accepted, was some people did percent increase or percent markup. Because we had just been working on that. Well, their markup to go from 30 cents to $1.50 was $1.20 markup to the original 30 cents, which gives you an answer of 4 or 400%. So whether you gave me 500% or 400%, if you had the work to justify it, I accepted either.
Are they both number 5?
Yeah, they're both. That's why I crossed out number 4 to try to make it kind of obvious. Questions on that one? We just got to keep kind of moving on sort of quick today. All right. I want to remind you guys, which I did during the test, this and this is just my way of trying to be nice and remind you of how to solve these problems. That is supposed to give you guidance for the rest of the test. Some of you saw that and like freaked out and thought it was like somehow part of the problem or something, so I guess I'm gonna have to change how I do that. This is the problem. If we make a school supply store and purchase a pack of markers, like you kind of have to understand my frame of reference. At my school, at my high school where I went, the students ran a school supply store. We had notebooks, we had pencils, whatever you needed, we ran a store. And all the profit that we made went towards like our school dance at the end of the year. So like when you buy, pencils or whatever at school, it went towards the school, like the profit. So it wasn't going to Staples, it was going back to the high school. So if we buy a pack of markers for $4 and decide to increase the price or mark it up by 50%, what would we have the new price be? So I gave you both options, and I'm going to solve both options here. First option, the longer way, would be take the original price of $4 times the markup percent, which gives you the markup amount of $2. Then we add that with the original and get that my new price of the markers will be $6. The other way to do this is from the beginning, take your 100%, which is the original cost of the item, add your percent markup, which really gives us 150%, but that becomes 1.5. We then multiply that by the initial cost, and that also gives us $6. Either of those methods will help you with most of the rest of the test because it's dealing with percent changes. Even if it's marked down, you can do the same thing, except instead of adding the percent, you'd subtract it.
And then that will give you 50. Right?
Yeah, and then that'd be like half the price. But here's, I mean, it has to be a markup here. Questions on that? Brady.
I have a question. But, is 0.50
Sorry, say that again.
like 0.50, is it possible for 0.50 to be 8%?
Yeah, the answer to number 1 was 0.5%. It was half of a percent. So imagine this. Take a pizza, cut it into 100 slices. Now each slice is 1%. If you eat half of a slice, you've eaten half of a percent of the pizza. Yeah. So, number 7 then uses exactly what you just did. The percent markup, except now we just talk about a price is going to increase by 8%. So, here's how you had to read it. How much will a ticket to New York cost next month? Well, what does it cost this month? This month, it now sells for $419.
Really?
Yeah, I made this up.
Oh.
Although, I mean, depending on where you're coming from, I think Pearson's based out of California or somewhere like that. If you were going across the country, that would probably be about right. And actually, Amtrak is sometimes cheaper than flying, but it's not much. Like, because trains are really nice. You have, like, a cabin where you can sleep. You have a dining car. Like, you pay a little extra because it's nicer. And instead of being 30,000 feet in the air, you're 6 feet in the air. So it's safer, too. Well, okay, that's arguable with how many people.
Like train tracks to other states.
They're actually talking about building a new rail system, like 4 or 5 new rail systems to connect the east to the west. Like, so northeast and southeast would come together and then head west, and then you could either go northwest or southwest, which to you guys, you'd have to flip around what I'm pointing, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, if the increase is 8%, the new price will be 8% more. So we could begin by finding 8%, which is really 0.08 of the current cost for 1990. That comes out 0.08 times 1990. Your price is going to increase by about $33.59. I can then take that increase and just add it to the initial price. That will give me an answer of $453.92. Sorry, 49 cents. Looked at the wrong decimal places. Now, here's the other route that we could take with this problem. An 8% increase, well, that tells me I'm now going to be 108% of the previous cost. So I could just say 1.08 times the $419.90, and that will equal the same exact thing. That's why I showed you the 2 different methods there in question 6, I wanted you to be able to choose whichever way you liked best. Questions on the front. Anything else from the front page? Okay. Moving on to the back. Same exact type of problem. So since it's going to increase by 4%, what's the quick way that I could do this problem? Instead of just using 4%, okay?
We use what you did up there in blue.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called though. What kind of
So
number
we
it's
take the
called.
4% and do what with it? We want to
Um,
put it with
100.
Yeah, because right now the current grocery price is your 100%. So if it's going to go up by 4%, you'll still have the whole 100 and an additional 4%. So we say since it's going to increase 4%, we use 104%. So now we just say 1.04 times the price of the groceries, $159.50, and we get $165.88. My 8s sometimes look like 6s, so I have to do them again. Questions on that? I did that one the quick method, which once it makes sense to you, when prices go up, they're over 100%. That's a way easier way to solve these problems. Me?
Where did you get the 104?
Because if it's going to increase by 4%, great question first off. The old price, or the price that we were paying, was my 100%. So the new price, or the increased price, will be 104% of the old price, or of the previous price, which is my $159.50. So because it's going to go up by 4%, it goes over the 100% that it was. If it comes down, if it decreases, then it'll be less than 100% of what it was. You can refer back to problem 6, if that doesn't make sense. The stuff that I had highlighted. It's the second one there. Zane's family decides to rent a cabin by the lake.
What was that?
Zach, sorry.
Yeah.
I have not done that yet this
Yeah.
year.
Zane
I
was
looked
that.
and saw Horner, and Zane was the first name that came to my mind.
Yeah.
You know Zane?
When I
Zane went here.
I taught Zane.
Yeah.
Yes, I know him.
Oh.
So, the Horner family, Zach's brother
I
Zane,
know his mom.
decided to rent a cabin up by the lake. A lot of, by the way, the situations that involve you guys, I just totally make these up. The situations that involve me are normally pretty real. So the Horner family rented a cabin. The normal price was $400. However, it's a holiday weekend, and because it's a holiday, they increased the price 25% more than normal. We have 2 ways we could do this. I'm going to show this the step-by-step method. I want to take that 25%, find out what will be the amount of increase, sorry, not times 100, times 400, but guys, what's another way to talk about 25%? What would be a way that I could use fractions to talk about that? 1/4, right? What would 1/4 of 400 be? 100. Guys, when I write this test, I was trying to make the numbers work nice with each other. So since that's the amount of increase, I have to then take that 100 and add it with what the price was, and we get that the inflated or the increased price is 500. However, there is still going to be a discount because they're Auto Club members, like AAA, you get discounts places. So they get a 10% discount. So we want to find what is 10% or 0.10 of my new price. Guys, 10% should be easy. Move the decimal over once, and that's your 10%. So they're going to get a $50 savings on the week. So now we take that 50 and subtract it from the inflated price, and we get that they will actually pay $450.
Can I do it a different way?
Depending, sure, if it's right.
Well, can I say what I was going to do? Okay, so if we took the 25, because they get a discount, it's obviously going to go down to 15, so it's
It
gonna
doesn't
be-
work like that.
Okay.
Yeah, be careful. That's because the 25% happens to the 400, the 10% happens to the 500. So I'm going to preface this by saying this is wrong. What I'm about to do is show why we can't combine percents. We cannot combine the percents because if we did, they had a 10% discount and a 25% increase. So Ty was asking, can I just put them together and say 15% more? If I do that, 0.15 times 400, 10% would be 40, so that'd be a $60 change, and that would say that my family was gonna pay $460. We don't wanna pay $460. We only have to pay $450. That's why we have to do one, then do the other. You cannot combine percents that go different directions. Really, you can't really combine percents at all because each percent has to act on its certain whole value. Questions? Bicycle helmet, it's on my Christmas list, is $18.50.
I was gonna.
So if it's on sale for 10% off and then 7% sales tax, guys, this does the opposite of the problem before. Now we have to take the price down and then take the price up. So we want to take the price down first. I'm kind of alternating here, so let's do this the shortcut method. If you save 10% off the price, what percent would you be paying? Alex? If we take, so what would, Todd, what would we normally, if the bicycle helmet's $18.50 and you have to pay $18.50, what percent would you be paying normally? 100%. Normally you pay the whole amount. So Ben, you had your hand up. If we're 10% off, what percent do I pay? 90. We're going to pay 90%. And we got that by doing the 100%, the whole that we normally pay, minus my discount of 10%, and that tells me we're going to pay 90%. So we can just do 90%, 0.90, times the bicycle helmet price, and we find out that the sale price here is $16.65. However, that's not the price you pay. You now have to pay that and tax. So I'll do this one kind of the longer method. To figure out tax, tax is 7%. Right? That's what I made tax? Yeah. So, good?
Yeah, no, I accidentally wrote the wrong name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then we do 0.07, my tax percent, times my subtotal, like that sale price, and we get that the amount of tax I have to pay is $1 and approximately 17 cents. Does tax increase or decrease my price? Increase. So I take that and I add to my sale price, and I find out that I'm actually going to have to pay $17.82. Questions on that? It's a two-part process. It's kind of confusing. Yeah. Sure, but I would have rather that you'd waited for your orange until breaks. I'm sure you just missed a bunch of what we did. You've been writing this down? Yeah? So if I look at your paper, it's all there? Do you want to be able to eat in my class again? Don't lie to me. Go wash your hands. Quit wasting time. Go wash your hands or you're not going to. It's on Schoology. You can write it down eventually. Macy's versus Kmart. By the way, who knows what Kmart is?
Yes, I know.
Yeah. A lot of them have closed. Kmart's sort of starting to die off.
There's stuff on the Zane's.
So, Kmart has no sale. That's where I always went. I always went to the Zanesville Mall because that's the closest mall to Coshocton. So, Kmart is initially cheaper. They're like, hey, come get the CD player. It's $51.29. Just funny, you guys don't even like care about CD players anymore.
Yeah, I do.
But okay, good to know that you still listen to physical audio.
No.
At Macy's, physical audio is something that you can actually like. Digital audio is like I bought it on iTunes. I don't actually have it. I don't possess it. It's on my computer. Actually, yeah. We have a bunch of vinyls at home too, because vinyl it just gives you different sound
My
quality.
grandma has a bag of those.
Vinyls. Yeah, a lot of grandparents do.
A lot of grandmas are old people.
Yeah. So, Macy's has a 15% discount. I want to practice this shortcut method again. If we have 15% off, I want everyone writing the work for this. We take our 100%, subtract the 15% discount, and we're going to pay 85%. So, to calculate the Macy's price, we do 0.85 times their initial price to find the sale of $50.77. So if I take that price and compare it with the Kmart price, which one's cheaper?
The Macy's.
Macy's, right? On sale, it's got a better price. Here's the other way that you could use approximate math.
What?
If we round this to 60, 59.73 is really close to 60, right? 10% of 60, Todd, 10% of 60 would be 6. Another 5% would be half of that 6, so 3. If I take that $9 away from 60, I get about 51. We can estimate all this math and not ever have to use a calculator to get there because these percents are nice to work with. Yeah, I kind of wrote that work above it because I thought there was going to be more work. While working at Macy's, I was putting prices on a watch. I noticed that Macy's paid $110 for the watch. They probably didn't even pay that much. It is now selling for $199.20. What is the percent markup? Anyone know the first thing I need to do in this problem in order to find the percent markup? Do I know? Do you know?
I know a way to make this problem easier.
How's that?
Well, each of them involve 1 in 100 place, so we just take away the 100, so we only have 10 and $99.
Actually cannot work like that.
Okay.
And we'll show you that method would maybe work if we were doing a different kind of problem. But for what? Well, for the subtraction that we need to do, you can think about that, but for the division, you can't, because then taking numbers away like that for division it messes up our division. Tom. So, if we're looking at percent markup, the first question in your head should be, what is the dollar markup? To find the dollar markup, we just subtract. What's my price now minus what the store paid for it? My dollar markup is $89.20. I then take the amount of markup and divide it by the previous price. And when we do that division, we get an 81% markup.
How did you do that so fast?
I have the answer key sitting right here.
Oh.
Was he the math teacher in his math?
Yeah, but that would be kind of a hard to. I could estimate that pretty easily, and know that it's about 80%.
I was gonna say, wow, you're fast with a calculator.
Mr. Kabila was performing a science experiment. Accidentally spilled a chemical all over Einstein. Einstein, overnight, grows 20% larger. I'm going to take the shortcut method on this one. If something gets 20% larger, it will be its 100% plus the 20%. It's now going to be 120% of what it was before. So we can take 1.20 times Einstein's old length of 14, and he ends up being 16.8 inches long that following day. Questions? Yeah?
For percent, like when you highlighted that part,
Yeah.
how did you get a 1 again?
Because it's larger, it's going to be more than the total, or more than what it was, and what it was 100%.
Oh, so then
So we add the 20% to what I had, which was 100%. So that's why we call it the shortcut method. The other way would be to find 20% of the 14 inches, which would be 2.8 inches, and then add that with the 14, which gives us 16.8. That's the other method to solve that there. But instead of adding the 14, we started the problem by adding the 100% to the 20. I'm going to skip past the Sears problem because we need to get to 15, 16, and 17 because they're a little bit more challenging. So Divine put $1,800 into a certificate of deposit. Simple annual interest. He won the lottery. Simple annual interest is 3%. Whoa.
It's a joke.
He won
All the
lottery?
problems that involve you guys are completely made up. So how many years will it take him to earn $162? Now the trick here is to realize, take him to earn $162, that $162 is actually the interest that he wants to make. Since it's simple, we know that we can use I equals P times R times T. But now when I set up this equation, I know that my interest is $162. I know that my principal amount was $1,800. My rate was 3% or 0.3. I'll put a 0 in front of that to make it look nicer. And we don't know our time. We can multiply these two numbers together. When I do that, I get 162 equals 54 times t. I think it's 54. Now I gotta check because now I'm questioning myself. Yeah. Since these are multiplied and we want the t by itself, what do we want to do? Then we want to divide where at?
162 and 54.
Yeah, we do it on both sides. So we do it there, and we do it here. And that then gives me, and I'm going to work left. I don't really like doing that. But that gives me 3 years. We knew the amount of interest he needed to make. We knew the principal. We knew the rate. We didn't know the time. So I combine what I can, and then I divide to get the t by itself. Questions? Cool. Crystal opens up a bank account with $1,000 that she won in a contest. Well, enter the contest, man. So the account earns compound interest at the rate of 4% compounded quarterly. Now, this is why there's a new formula up on the board. I need you on your paper. I would advise it not to be your test. I would put it on that separate sheet of paper I told you to put out. The equation that we're now going to use, I changed what's in the parentheses. It's now going to be the balance equals principal times 1 plus A, because we're going to use A as the annual interest. Notice it's on the chalkboard. So A is our annual interest, to the N. To calculate A, we're just going to take the percent divided by the times per year, or the yearly. So in this situation, if it's going to have 4% compounded quarterly, what's quarterly mean? 4 times. So my A, or my annual interest amount, notice numbers that work well together. 0.04 divided by 4.
Wait, I got this.
Don't even type that in. Anytime a 4 divides by itself, it's going to be a 1, so we still have that 0, but it's a 1. So 0.01. So that's now the A that I use. The N, to find my N value, is always the times per year. I'm just going to put yearly, times number of years. So here, it's 4 times a year for 5 years. My N becomes 20. I'm going to keep working here. Just going to cross this out for the minute. So we set up balance equals her principal of 1,000 times 1 plus 0.01 to the 20, because it will happen 20 times total. We do the addition, then we do the power, then we do the multiplication. And we get $1,220.19. That Crystal will have, but she had to wait 5 years.
To get there?
But she earned $220 for doing nothing. She was left her money in the account.
I would do that.
Please don't go beg Crystal for money. She did not win a contest. I made this up. I have pretty good imagination, and I love writing story problems.
You should put me in it.
Now, 17. If you guys want put into a problem, here's how I put people into problems. I'm writing the test, I glance over at the seating chart, and I see who I see. And I put them in the test.
Put me
Like-
in the shower with money.
Okay, that's a little awkward.
Because money is in the tub.
And embarrassed.
Oh, you mean one of the, I know what you mean. You're talking about when they had the thing with the fan
Yeah.
that like, yeah.
Yeah.
Really quickly, because I wanted you guys to be able to. So here's the problem, but also I'm going to go to the next page. Crap, I need to insert page. Here we go. Jackson is comparing banks to invest all the money that he made over summer. This is probably the hardest problem on the test.
Oh,
Only because it's a comparison, and you guys are bad at paying attention to detail.
yeah, we are.
This is why I keep encouraging you to use highlighters. It helps you separate things. So, Chase is going to offer simple interest, 4% on a principal of $1,500. He's going to leave it there for 4 years. Simple interest uses our PERT equation. Guys, please do not pack up yet. This is, I guarantee there's a problem pretty much identical to this on your Progressing to Mastery. So Chase, I'm going to use I equals P times R times T. My principal was 1,500. My rate was 0.04 because it's 4%. And my time was 4 years. That gives me that he earns $240. But then we have to find the balance. Remember your BIP formula. Balance equals the interest made plus the principal. So it'll be the $240 we made plus the $1,500. So Chase, at the end of the amount of time, would have $1,740 in that account. We're not done. We still got to solve Huntington. Huntington
Oh, from the
It is a bank. Like, they are a bank.
Yeah.
Crap, I can't capture and make this go away. So, Huntington, I'm now going to change my highlighting. But they share some of the same stuff. $1,500 is shared. Now the interest is different. It's compound, and it happens monthly. Trust me, you want to stay here so that you know how to do this. Give me 90 seconds, and we'll be done with this. To find your A, your annual percent, take the percent they tell you and divide. What do I divide by here?
1,500.
Look over at how we find the annual interest. It's the percent divided by, it's on the chalkboard.
The whole
Divided by-
times per
Wait,
year.
percent
The times
divided
per
by times
year.
per year.
Monthly tells me how many times per year.
12.
12. So this 0.03 divides by 12. That becomes 0.0025. My N will be that same 12 times per year times the 4 years. So 48. And then I plug it all in. Balance will be the 1,500. When we solve that, Huntington's account
Wait, is
would
that a
have-
multiplication sign?
This is a decimal because instead of adding, I just went ahead and wrote the sum. Because it's 1 plus your A. So I just went ahead and added them. We'd have $1,691 approximately if we round. So what bank would you choose? Where's going to give you more money?
Chase.
Chase. They had 1,740 at the end. Huntington had 1,691. All right, that's it. Sorry I kept you guys a couple minutes late. When we get off on tangents, that's got to happen.
Can I staple these?
Yeah, it's right there.